What's happening in the UK and why are they targeting Tommy Robinson? Let's dive straight into the chaos unfolding in the United Kingdom. Independent journalist and activist Tommy Robinson is being targeted and the situation is spiraling out of control. The chief of police opened with the Islamic greeting Assalamu alaikum before claiming there is equal policing for all. Really? Remember in 2022, the Freedom Convoy in Canada? People were tired of being treated as second-class citizens, blamed for everything, and insulted as misogynist, racist, and conspiracy terrorists. They took the streets for their rights and freedom. What was the response? Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoked war measures, beat people up, violently dismantled protests, and imprisoned grassroots leaders. Fast forward to today, and we see a stark contrast. Far-left movement and anti-Israel, anti-Semitic marches rise, leading to an increased hate crimes and public destruction. Yet, no name-calling, no strong condemnation, no massive law enforcement response. These actions were far worse than the peaceful Freedom Convoy, yet they were handled with kid gloves. Now, look at the UK. Massive riots in a town called Leeds saw the Muslim community burning buses and garbage. A horrific stabbing in Southport resulted in the death of 3 young girls by a young African male, later deemed mentally ill. Where was the strong condemnation or accountability? Nowhere. English citizens have warned about the consequences of mass migration for years. They protested and finally revolted after the mass stabbing in Southport. Suddenly, they are labeled as a far-right thugs and threatened with mass arrest and imprisonment.
I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend. Be in no doubt, those that have participated in this violence will face the full force of the law. The police will be making arrests, individuals will be held on remand, charges will follow, and convictions will follow.
Recently, throughout the streets of the country, the Muslim communities are patrolling openly with machetes, knives, and other weapons. The two-tier police admit on camera that they are on their side and simply ask them to drop their weapons at the local mosque.
If there's any weapons or anything like that, what I would do is just guard them in the mosque.
Why were not the same measures applied to the Muslim community? Is the fear of being called racist or xenophobic too strong? Anyone breaking the law should be accountable. But we are seeing a blatant, undeniable two-tier policing. The authorities and state media are now targeting Tommy Robinson, painting him as the leader of the so-called hatred. They have tried to silence him for years. Despite Tommy Robinson calling for calm and peaceful protests, the mainstream media twist the narrative.
Well, what we've heard, Julie, from a lot of the far-right figures is that these protests that we've been seeing over the last week are not about extremists, they're about ordinary people just having their say. Here's an example, and it's not the only one, from the man known as Tommy Robinson yesterday, a post accusing Keir Starmer of trying to use legitimate concerns to tarnish millions of people as far-right thugs.
And a lot of this is being instigated online. And probably the most influential instigator of it all is Tommy Robinson, real name Stephen Yaxley Lennon, a really sinister and ludicrous figure, frankly, who is currently away in Cyprus, hiding, tweeting inflammatory material online.
But it must be very upsetting for the families and for the community of Southport, which really came together in the aftermath of it, for this to be hijacked by people lying on sunbeds in Cyprus, directing downplaying the violence and
referring to some of the images on the front page.
Based on lies, based on a completely inaccurate account of what happened in Southport.
The state is now attempting to imprison Tommy and other dissenters, echoing the action in Canada. The chief of police aligned with the Muslim community, starting his press conference with Assalamu alaikum.
Salam alaikum. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to the leaders and elders that have afforded me this opportunity to speak to you personally.
And announced they will go after anyone posting or reposting content about the riots or the revolt in the UK.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence.
Who else will they arrest? So far, hundreds have been arrested, some already been jailed. Ironically, while declining to enforce the law equally, a Labour councillor for Princes, Ricky Jones, was caught on video during a counter-protest telling people to cut all the throats of fascists.
They are disgusting, nasty bastards, and we need to cull their throats and get rid of them all.
A man inciting hatred and murder, and after screaming "Free Palestine," what was his punishment? According to the BBC, after an investigation by the Metropolitan Police, Ricky John has been arrested on suspicion of encouraging murder. He remains currently under custody. But the question is, on the video, the facts are clear. There is fomentation of hatred and murder. So what will be really the punishment for this man? Anyone challenging the globalist agenda faces prosecution. They seek to censor anyone opposing the dominant narrative, with socialist weft puppet Keir Starmer leading the charge. The UK is grappling with serious issues of two-tier policing, where minorities seems to have more freedom to break the law without facing the same level of enforcement. State and corporate media are using Tommy Robinson as a scapegoat to deflect from the consequences of mass immigration. This situation has gone too far. The pressing question is, how will this end? And when will it hit Canada? Covering international story, it's really important. It's why we are being sent to different places. Recently, I went to England to cover the massive protest rally organized by Tommy Robinson. If you want to still contribute to offset my travel expense and to make sure we are able to cover those kind of story again, I invite you to go over battleforlondon.com. On this website, you can donate what you can. It can be just the cost of a coffee. Anything count. So thank you in advance to support our hard journalism, and thank you in advance for your support at battleforlondon.com.